Mark.
Yes.
I'm recording audio. I'm recording video. So we're good. So the only thing I'm going to say is that make sure you look at me, not into the camera when you answer.
Look at you, okay.
Yeah, you can look around, but if you come this way, don't look into the camera. Look at me.
Okay.
And just when you answer the questions, one of the questions I'll ask you is, when, where, and how did you meet Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
If you can somehow use the question in the answer, because I'm going to cut me out. So you'll say, I met Jesus.
I see.
Or whatever the question is, kind of elaborate so people in the audience will know what the question was.
Okay, got it.
All right, so awesome. First thing is, can you please say your full name and your current role in UBF?
My name is Mark Vucekovich, and currently I'm the pastor of the Lincoln Park UBF chapter, and I also serve as the North American coordinator for UBF.
So, Pastor Mark, when, where, and how did you meet Jesus?
Well, I came from a Christian family, and I attended church from childhood and was baptized as a child. I heard Christian radio and music, but I had no real Bible study, so I rebelled against this Christian upbringing in junior high and high school. And I actually came to know Jesus personally in Chicago UBF during the years, time roughly from August of 1980 until around December of 1983, that period of time. It was really a culmination of my one-to-one Bible studies, group Bible studies, hearing Sunday messages. I was living in common life. I was having daily bread every day. I was writing testimonies and sharing them, giving messages, main messages at UBF conferences, teaching the Bible. It took me a while to really receive Jesus, but I did finally at the Christmas worship service in Chicago at 1983. And it was a lot of prayer from the worldwide UBF community. They prayed for me so much, even though they didn't know me. My first Bible teacher, Mary Min Park, was an amazing person, still is, and she loved me and prayed for me and sacrificed so much to help me. I got a lot of personal counseling and Bible teaching and help from Sarah Berry and the late Dr. Samuel Lee. They both really helped me personally a lot when I was a college student and when I came on staff right after college. And Dr. Samuel Lee especially gave me a lot of spiritual training, and it was really through his message that I finally could accept Jesus personally.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
When, where, and how did you accept Jesus' world mission command for yourself?
Well, it actually was something that attracted me to UBF. I had been around churches and I really didn't want that. But UBF, in my first year of college, I really became more aware of the third world of the world, the developing world as we say today. And I wanted to do something for the poor countries of the world or do something meaningful for them. It kind of jarred me my freshman year of college into wanting to do that. And then I got invited to UBF, and I was so surprised that they were so missionary minded. And so it was kind of a click right from the beginning. But in terms of actually accepting it, I think it was a culmination again of just participating in Chicago UBF. And I especially remember studying the tithing Bible study lesson with the late missionary Jacob Lee, who taught me from Malachi about tithing, the meaning of tithing for world mission. And he encouraged me every Sunday. He was a great blessing to me. But it was really a culmination of things and it was pretty clear to me that this was what God wanted me to dedicate my life to pretty early on.
So, thank you. How did Jesus enable you with time, resources, finances, marriage, mentors, shepherds, to obey his world command for you?
Well, it wasn't. If you became a member of Chicago UBF in those years, you kind of had no choice. You were pretty much going to be involved in world missions. So I was basically praying for UBF ministry worldwide right from the beginning. When I joined UBF in 1980, I was tithing since 1981. I served international guests who came into Chicago UBF since 1981. I attended conferences in Korea, in Europe, the CIS, Latin America, Africa. I visited over the years our missionary coworkers in India and China, Mongolia, Africa, Malaysia. I was actually serving our UBF International Conferences as a coordinator since 1985, and I did that for 30 years. So helping people with visas and praying for them, hosting guests sometimes in my home. So I also attended various missions conferences representing UBF. So I attended InterVarsities Urbana a few times. I've been attending the Missio Nexus conferences for a long time. I attended KimNet a few times. I also was a mentor and Bible teacher for missionary candidates in the Chicago UBF headquarters. So I developed a class on cross-cultural servanthood for missionary candidates, and a number of people went through that class with me. I actually did research in grad school on missionary activity among Native American children, which was also an eye-opener, and I presented a paper at a missions conference on that, which kind of opened my mind even more. But really, Jesus gave me the strength and the health and the protection and the joy and the love to really be a part of that in all those different ways. It was really, I mean, if he weren't in my heart and with me, I don't think I could have done any of it.
And this would be like the part where, no, not that one. Okay. How have you helped others to obey Jesus' world mission command?
Sure. Well, I've encouraged my own chapter members over the years and the young people in my chapter to tithe, to pray for world mission prayer topics in UBF, to write letters. We've gathered to write letters, and to actually go and visit the mission fields. So for a while, our chapter was supporting the Minsk UBF chapter in Belarus, and some of us went there as guests, as messengers. A few of our students went to visit to share their life testimony or to give a message. And we've had them over in our chapter as well. During international conferences, they've stayed with us and shared fellowship with us, etc. So that was a practical way to do it. And I've visited those who've left our chapter to go as missionaries, either short-term or long-term. I visited them on the mission field as well. So I mean, I think it's something that we can't force on people, but it's something that I think we can expose them to and show them what a joyful life that is and what a meaningful life it is to live for world mission. So I feel like living it in my own life and being excited about it is the best way to mentor other people.
Kind of leading by example.
Yeah.
Here's the question, the money question.
Yes.
So what has been encouraging or challenging about serving with others who come from a different culture or generation from you?
Okay, well, that's easy because I'm Caucasian American, and I've been serving in UBF with Korean American missionaries for the past, how many years now? I've been in UBF for 38 years. So it's been awesome. It was actually something that really attracted me to UBF was the Korean people's spirit in their Christian faith. They seemed so authentic and not sophisticated or complicated, but just really big-hearted, and their life really matched what they were trying to teach, I felt. Their passion, their prayers, they were just always praying, so passionate, ready to sacrifice anything, ready to work hard. Those things have been so invigorating for me and inspiring for me over the years, and I've considered it a great blessing that they've welcomed me into their fellowship, treated me like a brother, even though my weaknesses were so obvious. They really treated me with love and respect. I think the challenge has been really, over the years, there's always, I think when you're dealing with people from different cultures and generations, you're dealing with highly potential misunderstandings. And a lot of it is cultural because we don't understand the culture they're coming from. We misread them and they misread us. And I think that's been an ongoing challenge and struggle over the years. And expectations, I think what's made it hard is that when Korean missionaries have expected me or other Americans to be a certain way, and it's, you can't change who you are who you are. And vice versa. Americans have expected the Korean missionaries to be a certain way, and they are who they are. And we can't change each other. We're really taught in the Bible to accept one another and to encourage one another. So that's been building respect and trust, I think, has been really challenging. I think for me, respecting the missionaries has never been hard. But I think winning their respect, really their respect, has been harder. And I would imagine that has to do with, as I said earlier, my glaring weaknesses, but maybe also just, many years of dealing with American people in the ministry who weren't so committed or what have you, and so they're really wondering in the back of their minds, well, who is this person, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think winning their respect has been a challenge, and also building trust, real trust, and also personally, I think, and maybe our missionaries struggle with this too, I think there's an element of loneliness when you're in a cross-cultural ministry where you just feel like the people I'm with don't really emotionally get me.
Pause 1 second. I need to
So I think the loneliness issue is one of the biggest challenges as well. I think I've felt lonely. I do have some friends scattered in UBF who I feel get me and I get them. But day-to-day life, I think anyone involved in missions work is going to feel loneliness anyway. Simply because there's not a lot of people doing this. But then when you're in a fellowship of people who are also doing it but don't really, it's hard to get close to on a lot of levels, that there's loneliness there that makes it hard. And I think the missionaries have felt lonely as well, and I can tell. And I've known that in increasing measure over the years. So I think it's how do we connect more? I mean, I think it's all part of maturity, Christian maturity, really. And I think actually the church in Ephesians, Paul says the church is meant to be a place where there's all different kinds of people who are united because of Jesus. And I think it's a mistake to back away from this just because it's hard. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that issue.
Thank you. I just want to touch lightly. That was great about the culture. What about generations? How have you been challenged or encouraged to serve with people from different generations?
Yeah, that's been awesome too. I mean, I've had the chance to work with some of our senior members in UBF. They haven't been, for me personally, I don't have a big problem working with them. The younger generation, it's more difficult, obviously, because, hey, I'm almost 60 years old, so I like to pretend like I'm young, but I'm actually not. And the younger generation, I feel like it's harder because, well, it has to do, again, with, if I can be honest, I think younger generation people say, let's do ministry this way. And they have all these ideas on how the ministry should be done, but then when it comes time to actually be there, support the ministry, work together, a lot of times they're not available. They're doing something else. They're finding their own, what they want to do, some path or whatever. And I found it challenging to work together when it seems like they have a lot of ideas, but in terms of practical commitment and being willing to work together to do work, they're not always available. And I understand, young people have a lot going on. They have studies and work and relationships and friendships and such. But so I've tried to encourage young people, to work with cross-generational people in the ministry. It's, again, about building this relationship of trust and mutual respect. And how do we do that? I think as an older person, I have to earn the respect of young people by how I live, how I communicate. I think also one of the dangers is, especially in cross-generational ministry, if we're about just getting work done, ministry work done, it's not really going to go very far. We have to build relationships across these generations, because otherwise we feel like we're using each other. And I've gotten that feeling quite a bit from younger people. They're just not interested in being drawn into a ministry where everything is about work, work, work. and people don't actually really know them very well. And so I feel like this is the challenge from my end. I think from the young people's end, the challenge is to step up and say, well, I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to make the commitment. I'm really willing to prove myself as a faithful person. From the older generation, I think the challenge is, am I really willing to do what it takes to build a relationship regardless of ministry work, whether there's work happening or not? And I think that's just my personal experience with that on that issue.
All right, so 2 more questions.
Okay.
One here is, so I guess you've gone on many mission trips, right?
Yes.
So please tell me if there's another mission trip you want to go on and why. Or maybe if not, then talk about experience you had that you want to, like that was a great experience, whatever. Either one you want.
Well, yeah, I've been on a lot of mission trips, visiting places in UBF over the years, and they've been some of the most amazing things that ever happened to me. My first mission trip was going to Korea in 1981, and I shared my life testimony there, and that really, the people there, the young people there, their spirit, their love, it just totally blew me away. It opened my heart to the gospel even more, and it was definitely a huge impact in my life. After my first trip to Korea, I was there for 2 weeks. Going somewhere now, I would love to visit somewhere in the Muslim world. I've never been. The only place I think I've ever been to was Malaysia, which is part Muslim. But I haven't been in a place that was completely Muslim. And I would really love to do that. There's a place I've been praying for a lot recently. It's been Yemen, the country of Yemen, and the civil war there. I would love to go, if I could be a help and do something there, I'd love to do that, do something in Yemen.
Great, thank you. And just lastly, one last question. What advice would you have for anybody, young or old, who hasn't gone on a mission trip yet, and they're hearing God's call on their heart, but they have reservations because of money, time, whatever? What advice would you give somebody in that regard?
I think it's always going to be a stepping out in faith. If we're waiting for everything to be perfect, we're probably not going to pull the trigger. And I think we always have to step out in faith to do something like this, trusting God. And if it feels a little bit uncomfortable, that's probably normal. So I would just say, trust God, learn to trust God that He'll provide. He'll provide the resources, He'll provide the open door, He'll provide people to help you along the way. He'll provide protection and health and everything else. And He'll provide you, especially with the Holy Spirit on the mission trip, so that it's actually something fruitful in your life and in the lives of the people that you're with.